Welcome to the Warriors and Wardens podcast, formerly the Origin Keynote podcast. We are dedicated to sharing the lived experience of military and first responder communities from Australia and around the world. I'm your host, Tom Brown. Enjoy the show. Alrighty, g'day, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of the Warriors and Wardens podcast, formerly Origin Canine podcast. Today we've got another Waypole Canine handler. You boys are starring at the moment, and I've got another Waypole dude on the way. I've got Bucky, hopefully. Nick Sardinha, mate. Welcome to the potty, bro.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
All good, dude. And mate, by way of introduction, well, in two ways, I guess. You and I first met a while ago when I went over to WA. You guys did a mad demo for me, which by the time people are listening to this, I think it's 2 episodes ago, where I recorded with Jaden Elphick, and I met him in the same place. And I met both your dogs, Ace, who then later passed away, and then Boogie, who's sitting behind you. And Boogie was sold to you guys by Brad Griggs from Canine Services International down in Melbourne.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Mate, Brad's one of my online besties that I've never met. I've got 3 or 4 really, really good mates that I only know online. I've never fucking met them.
As is social media, as is the world nowadays, huh?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's a good way to use it, hey? I'm slowly working my way through meeting internet friends. I've met a couple of them, one from the States, and then who else did I meet? Someone recently, but I've got a few more mates that I've got to connect with from online in real life.
Yeah, nice, mate. Nice. It's always good meeting those people, because you have such a relationship, in a completely different format, and then you actually meet in person. It was the same with Brad. I think we were chatting for ages. The first time I met him, I was just finally meeting him, and just come over, gave me a big bear hug, and it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'm actually looking forward to meeting Brad. He's one of the people that I want to start I want to finally tick him off my little online friend list to my real life friend list. Yeah. I think he's got what I got, right? He's a bit of an ADHD spastic like me. He's just, highly driven, full of energy sort of guy.
We're all on the same sort of spectrum, or we're all on somewhere on the spectrum, isn't it? Is that what they call it nowadays?
There's a spectrum, 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, to get into it, mate, before we went online, we were talking about your last name, Sardinha, and I guessed in one guess that it was from Portugal. Not really.
Shut off at that, mate. It was
I basically fucking bounced around the globe. But yeah, so Portuguese name, you're a big tall dude, so that's obviously somewhere in the Portuguese roots. But mate, hit me with growing up, dude. I want to know about your childhood and who and what made you the man you are today, bro.
It's a great question. Mate, I was born and raised here in Western Australia. Born to a family of immigrants. My mum was actually born here in Western Australia as well. She was the only one of her siblings. So I've got an auntie and uncle who was actually born in Australia. Everyone else was born in Portugal. But that was back in the 60s and 70s. My family immigrated over. And then when at a very young age, they were all, everyone except my granddad was basically taken back to Portugal. And that was just to look after family back there. And it was my granddad kind of looked after everyone, sending money back home, working up north, the north of Western Australia. Just hard-working man that he is. And then, 20-odd years later, I came along and born and raised, went to school here, played sports here, mates, and met some great people. And I think kind of just along the way, I was just very influenced by very hard work and family who just, would always tell me you can kind of go do anything you want to do. You just got to work hard enough and just put in the work for it, basically. There's never a message of hey, you can do whatever you want because you're a superstar and perfect and whatever. It was always hey, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to try hard for it. And I think that value and that ethos of hard work and kind of showing up every day when you can and putting your best foot forward. So I was very lucky to have a very supportive, loving, caring family that worked very hard for not only myself, but I've got two cousins that I'm very close with, and kind of that was our family. So kind of like the core of our family, 8 of us, were just like, we basically all lived together, had dinner together every single day as a kid, and I don't have any siblings, so mum was a single mum. I say kind of raising me as a single mum, but I had my auntie there. I had my uncle Andrew, who kind of was to a certain extent a surrogate father figure for me because I didn't know my dad growing up. And then I had Matt and Chris, my cousins, who were, surrogate brother figures, if you will, first cousins. So, and then had my grandma and grandpa. So that was just my life. That was who I was kind of raised by and with. I was the youngest of all of them, so I had a lot of people kind of leading the way for me, and I had the kind of the luck and the people had already paved the way for me. People had already gone ahead and done stuff and kind of done the hard yards. So it was very easy to follow in the footsteps of people who had already done a lot of hard work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, 100%, man. Yeah. And so, hold on, were you guys all in the same house together? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, like not, but yeah, basically, like we live one house away from each other. So when, sorry, when we, like when I was first born, my mum was living in a house like 2 minutes away, Brampston Road, I think the house was on, if I remember correctly. And then when I was about 2 years old, me and my mum moved out of that and lived with my auntie, my uncle Andrew, and Matt and Chris. So there were 5 of us, no, 6 of us in that house. And then my grandma and grandpa lived, 5 minutes away in a place called Spearwood, suburb called Spearwood, and then they built a house, 1 house away. So for the majority of my life, I had, like I said, those central 8 figures, including myself, those 7 central figures, 1 house away, and we'll have a dinner every night at each other's house, or my grandma would be doing the school run, and they all worked for the family business, which at that time was a commercial cleaning company. So they all worked together. It was, who's picking us up today? It's Auntie Irene, or it's Mum, or it's Grandma, or it's Grandpa, or it's Uncle Andrew, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's very much that what's that old saying? It takes like a village to raise a child. It was very much like that.
Yeah. I almost feel like that's something we've maybe not lost, but definitely moved away from, right? Like probably smaller family units and stuff. I mean, it's my wife and I, our situation. I look over there because she's doing a workout right now in my multi-use shed. But yeah, like my family are in Sydney, for example. Hers are in Perth, so it's just us, and I think we almost do it on purpose. You know what I mean? We move away from our family, sort of thing. We look for independence, but yeah, that's probably a rarity, right, these days, to all live in close proximity like that, support each other, having that village, raising the kids mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's funny you say that about kind of moving away. I've found myself wanting to be more and more independent as an individual, and I think probably a large part of that's because when you're raised in a very close family dynamic, everyone helping everyone out. You want to just be able to go away and achieve things yourself, independent of that. Me and my wife are very similar in that respect. She's originally from the UK, so all of her family are in the UK. But she's an extremely independent person, extremely strong person, and we're both similarly geared in that respect that we want to be able to like raise our kids ourselves and be very independent in that aspect, but we're still very close with our respective sides of our family.
Yeah. And what about so if your whole family had moved over from Portugal in the 60s, you said, what was going on in Portugal in the 60s? Or is that just they just went, let's just try something different? Or was there something that sort of made them move out of Portugal?
I think it was just more opportunity than anything. The way I kind of hear the stories, if you ever met my grandparents, they're still around. But my grandma is kind of like she's like the fire of the family, if that makes sense. She's got a bit of she's got a bit of go and a bit of drive about her, and I think they say that about Portuguese women, mate. That Portuguese men are a bit like mellow and chill, and Portuguese women are hot and spicy. So she's very much like that. And she, I think, just drove my granddad just to be like, hey, we need a better life, we need this, you know. So it was very much her as the driving force more than anything.
And what about your old man? So you said, excuse me, at 2, you and your mum moved out into your auntie's place and with your family.
Yeah.
Was your dad in the picture then, or were you moving away from your dad? What happened with your father, if you don't mind me asking?
Mate, I've got no clue. I don't know a single thing about him. He was long gone before I was born. So it was just one of those things of, yeah, and I've never really kind of bothered to ask questions or find out, like, if he took off and that was his decision, then whatever. I've got my family, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah. And like you were saying, you've got your uncles, you've got your granddad,
Yeah.
your cousins. You know, you weren't lacking
No,
in any
definitely
sense.
not. Definitely not. And my like my uncle Andrew very much took it upon himself to I suppose raise me alongside Matt and Chris, so my two older cousins. And I was very fortunate to have that. Very fortunate to be included in that respect. So, yeah, like I said, a surrogate father figure.
Yeah. And so you said you had no interest to seek him out, ask some questions, find him, anything like that. Still to this day, you feel that way?
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty like I still feel pretty strongly about that to this day, just because in my mind that like family's been such a strong core tenet in how I've been raised, and sticking around your family and being around your family. And if if he wasn't bothered sticking around and didn't want to put in the work, then kind of like, see you later, mate. Like I'm not missing anything. You know what I mean? I haven't lost anything that I don't know about. So yeah.
Interesting, man. Yeah, I just I asked that because you know, a lot of the time I ask people about their families and how their parents influenced them and whatnot. And like with Jaden, for example, we were chatting about his old man, and something vaguely similar happened. And then, yeah, I know he sort of held a similar viewpoint, right? He was kind of like, well, you know, if you don't want to be in my life, and if at that time was causing a lot of trouble and whatnot, you know, I don't need to go out and seek you. So, yeah, no, I just thought I'd ask the question. It's interesting, man.
No, of course, mate. Yeah, I think, look, maybe if I didn't have like my uncle around, like, you know, potentially that would have prompted a few more questions. But I think when you got someone else who really kind of steps up to the plate, and like I said, mate, like I was never, like I was very much taken under his wing, and you know, I was treated as if I was, you know, a brother to Matt and Chris, and I think when you're held that close and you kept that close as a family, that other shit just kind of falls to the wayside, if that makes sense. So you're just a bit like, yeah, whatever. Whoever that dickhead is, best of luck to him. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, yeah, okay. No, fair enough, man. And then when did the cops come into the picture? Did you do something else before you went to the cops? You know, working at Kmart or fucking Target or
Yeah.
whatever, or you just were like, no, cops is my thing. How'd you get to that,
No,
that direction?
mate, like everyone else in the family, I was like 10 years old when I first started working in their warehouse, cleaning vacuums and fucking tipping chemicals from one bottle into another. So, you know, yeah, wore all the proper fucking off stuff, you know, safety goggles. I definitely didn't, but, you know, started just working hard and worked for the family. And then after a little bit, I got right into my sports, playing rugby, and I really started loving doing that sort of stuff and kind of the physicality of it, the camaraderie, the teamwork, all those sorts of things. I think, like, as a young boy, you want to have those things. You want to be running around. You want to be expending energy. You want to be there with your mates, having a laugh on and off the pitch. And then I was fortunate enough to play state, and I was in the Western Force Junior Academy in kind of my developmental years, 16, 17 years old. So I played rugby union. So that was the rugby union team here, and
Nice.
ended up doing my collarbone pretty significantly at about 15 years old, and I had to have about 6 months off that because I snapped my collarbone in two different places in a rugby game. Got taken out by a big Maori fella as I went for a high ball off the catch. Landed straight on my shoulder. It snapped in one place, and then big Maori fella fell on me and snapped in a second place. So a nice big steel plate over my collarbone for a good while that kind of healed, and that kind of reset me a bit. Lost like the urge, lost the want and the desire, I suppose, after that for a little bit. But then recovered and kind of got back into it. Kept playing state rugby. After that, I just kind of thought I really like sports. I really like being physical. I like doing this sort of stuff. So maybe I'd go away. Studied sports science. After I finished school, studied some like sports science stuff just at TAFE. And then I was 19 years old. Finished that, and I was just like, I'm not really feeling this either. And then kind of revisited what I really wanted to do, and it's funny, right? Like as a kid, I used to watch this show on SBS, Inspector Rex, and it was about
It's like a German one or something, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. My granddaddy knows like 5 or 6 different languages. He's just one of those old generations that's just wicked smart. And I used to just remember being there, sitting there as a kid, and he's like watching this German show, and I'm just seeing this police dog fly through windows and doing all this kind of cool stuff. And I kind of had a bit of a think about what I wanted to do, and I was just like, I don't know, why don't I give that a crack? So I threw in an application, and my first application for the cops was actually knocked back. I think I was like 18, 19 years old.
Fucking dogs.
Yeah. And then I went away. I became like a concreter for a little bit, and that was shit work, so I stopped doing that. Went work back for the family company again, and I threw in another application, but this time I was successful. Then ripe old age of 20, I got into the cops, and that was it.
Shit, 20. That's funny, man, because I used to watch the show Rex as well, right? Because I used to speak a lot of German in school and stuff. I can't speak as much now, but I used to watch a little bit to pay attention to the language and whatnot. But I never got that urge. I mean, I obviously ended up in K9 much later, but it's just funny how, we all have the same experiences, but we just sort of take it different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rex.
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Inspector Rex.
Rex.
Blast from the past.
Yeah.
All right, and then getting into the cops, man. So what was college like for you? Pretty easy? Pretty heavy on the books?
Yeah, when I kind of first got in, mate, like I was never a good student in school. Like I was always fucking acting up, and I was always doing stupid shit, and I'd always rather kind of be out with my mates or fucking around or just doing something stupid. And then I kind of had to, like, maybe for the first proper time of my life, really knuckle down because it was something I really wanted. And kind of at that point, I had some really good motivation behind me. So going through the books, I think like the first, I think it was like 8 or however many weeks it was, you're doing like law, and you're learning all about the different laws, and every week, you're learning, every day you're learning, every week's like a subject material, if that makes sense. And then every day you learn about different things relating to that overall subject material. So, I was just cramming, mate. I had like a laptop that they gave us, and just trying to learn, cram as much into my brain as possible. But I got through that, fortunately, and went into the kind of like other aspect, like the tactical aspect, and they call it OSTU. Did the first week, and that was fine. And then me and my stupidity decided to play a rugby game on the Saturday after the first week. I ended up snapping my left ankle and a couple of the tendons. But when you're 20, you're just like, yeah, whatever. So went out partying that night.
You rocked up to work the next day just with no fucking foot, and you're like, nah, it's all good.
Yeah, it was pretty, like looking back on it, it was pretty stupid of me to do it. But like, Saturday, go out partying with your mates, or like kind of your cop mates, your fellow recruits. And then the Monday morning, so like second week into OSTU, like the Monday morning, I obviously had no idea what was in store for me, but you do this thing called the Chula drill. And that's basically I think like a stress response test, so you can understand that like if someone's charging at you with a knife, how you're going to react, how you're going to kind of see how you go. So at the beginning of the day, my foot was the size of a balloon. So a few of the guys just kind of got some strap and tape, tapped my foot up, got it into a boot, zipped my boot up. And the worst part of that day, I remember, was marching, because we had to march from where we kind of formed up to the front of the Oshty building. And it's like marching, and then you're doing like the pivot and the foot stand. And as I do that, I'm like, my foot, I'm fucked. This hurts so much. Like I've been kind of managing a little bit, and then I was like, nah, this is really starting to get to me. So anyway, fast forward a little bit, we're doing this Chula drill. Everyone's kind of going through. I go up, and you've got to do like a few laps around like the campus to like get you a bit tired, get your heart rate up. And then you've got to go down. And so I start doing these laps, and my first step, my foot's just collapsing onto me, and I'm running. And this bloke who was an instructor on the course, Pickering, he's basically just pulled me up and is like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, oh, I've just rolled my ankle. Like, I think it's all right. And he's like, all right, just go as best. So I'm just like hobbling around, get down to like the bottom of this staircase, do the Chula drill. You walk down this big long corridor, guy at the end of the corridor pops out of kind of nowhere, charges at you with a knife, and you've got to react appropriately, so shoot him. So I pass that, and then I get out there, and then this same guy, this instructor, Pickering, just pulled me up and is like, nah, there's something, you haven't just rolled it, mate. Come over here, let me have a look at your foot. Take my boot off, all the strap and tape, and my foot all up to kind of halfway up my calf is just purple. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably not good. So get me in a car, take me up to Junior Life Hospital, and get all the scans and everything. And I was booted off that Oshty course because obviously injured.
Yeah, shit.
And then it was definitely a different kind of like experience in police academy than what others had, because the next 2 and a bit weeks I was working in where all the actual like operational coppers work at the police academy. So I was actually working in the recruiting building where they see and they kind of vet all the recruits trying to come in, all the normal people trying to be recruits. So I spent a good 2 and a bit weeks doing that, just filing paperwork, mate, just walking around, just trying to be as useful as possible. After that Oshty bit was done, went through the rest of recruit school. There comes to be a bit called like driver training unit. That's how we learn how to drive fast and lights and sirens, all that sort of stuff. I couldn't do that because you need to be operational to do that. So you need to have done Oshty, so you need to use a gun and all that sort of stuff, pass all the drills. So for 4 weeks, I was actually, for about a month, I was sent to Fremantle Police Station, which was good. Instead of kind of being back squatted or whatever, they were like, nah, send him out to Freo Cop Shop, and he can kind of learn on the job. So that's actually where I met a guy that eventually I was working with in the K9 section, Shane Kinnott. I was on his team. He was a probationer, and I was on this sergeant. I'm still good mates with him now, Dave Eaton. He was a sergeant running the team, so I just got planted on his team for a month, and I ran around for a month without a gun, but with OC spray and a taser, which I wasn't qualified to use. And they're just, you'll be right, mate. Just don't use it. I was just like, yeah, sweet.
What, you're on the road doing jobs?
Just in the back of the car with 2 other coppers and just kind of learning as we went, if that makes sense.
So you were pretty much just doing ride-alongs for a month?
Yeah, that was it. I was either in the station, because I had managed to complete a section of the academy called like crime, or like it's like the crime section. That's where you learn how to do case files, take statements, you do investigative interviewing. So you can interview people criminally, you can take statements from victims, witnesses, etc. You can put hard copy case files together, you can do your basics for your investigation sort of stuff. So I was either being used at the front counter to take statements, which was, quite often I was either being used at the front counter to kind of answer phone calls, or when I was lucky enough, I'd be in the back of the car just as the boys went blues and twos, and then I'll be trying not to stick out like a sore thumb, and just kind of enjoy the experience, if that makes sense. But yeah, at the end of 4 weeks, it was a very interesting experience, because while everyone else was doing driver training and they'd done Oshty and they certainly had this leg up in terms of hey, they knew how to shoot a gun, they knew how to drive a car. I was getting this real world aspect of, hey mate, this is what actually happens when we're out on the job, and kind of pretty consistently. So by all metrics, I was basically just a cadet. But yeah, it was good, mate.
And I mean, if you're out on the road doing real jobs, what kind of stuff are you seeing in that time? Pretty extreme stuff or mundane? What was it like? Did they try to shelter you from certain kind of jobs?
Yeah, like to a certain extent. I think the very first job I ever went to was I was just sitting scene guard on a murder. I was just kind of passing time. Again, like when you're an extra hand at a police station, like they can never have too many hands. So when you're an extra hand at the police station, they're like, well, we're going to find you something to do. So I think, if I recall correctly, this bloke got murdered by his missus' new fella. I think they were still pretty solid at the time. It wasn't too far away from Trio Cop Shop, and yeah, ended up getting like chopped up or something like that. And I was just doing what I had to do, and I wasn't involved in it or whatever. I was just, again, like a spare hand. Hey Nick, go do this. Hey Nick, go do that.
Did you see things up close though at that stage? Like, did you see the guy that was murdered, or were you going into houses, seeing confronting things? Or they just sort of kept you in the periphery?
Yeah, they just kind of kept me in the periphery and just kind of used me as they wanted to use me. Like I went to a couple of jobs and stuff, but again, there was nothing hectic about it. It was just very standard police work, like community policing.
Yeah.
So by that point in time, they had changed. They had just swapped. I remember this quite distinctly. It was kind of in the time that I was there. They had changed from like a general duties policing model to what was known as like a response and LPT model. So what they basically did is over in the UK, they had this model called response and LPT. So like you had normal coppers and you're either an LPT officer, local policing team, or a response officer. Response officer was basically, hey, you're just going to be going blues and twos to every single job. You're going to do priority 3, priority 2, priority 1 jobs. That's your remit. You're going to go to jobs. You're going to do the paperwork. You're going to turn back out, and you're going to go to the next job type thing. Where LPT officers they were manned in stations. So, at Fremantle Station, they were all LPT officers. They would be answering the front counter. They'd be doing more protracted investigations, not quite detective level, but maybe somewhere in between. Doing a bit more protracted investigation work, catching crooks, but again, investigating case files, taking complaints, obtaining witness statements, a bit slower type of work. So that's kind of where I landed. And that's, I think, a lot of the reason why it was a lot more chilled for my kind of experience in that 4 weeks a month.
Gotcha. And in that model, are you one or the other, or do you sort of go in between? For example, one team on this shift might be response, and the next week they're the LPT.
Yeah, so you're either one or the other. You're either like an LPT officer or a response officer. And it was always at response officers like worked out of a warehouse somewhere. So they weren't at a like actual police station. They would usually be kind of off the beaten track, and that was to allow them not to get tied down with the kind of public community police officer type role, if that makes sense.
Dog shit work, yeah.
Yeah.
Monkey work.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That must suck though. I mean, if you want to be in response, right, you want to be fucking cracking skulls and getting out there amongst it, and then make you like an LPT. Next minute you're taking a complaint from some fucking cyclist or something.
Yeah, that was
who I would shoot in the face if I was a cop, by the way, straight away. Like, just if no matter what the complaint, I'll just shoot him in the face from the counter. I'd be like, nah.
You just see him come in and he's like,
right, I can't. I'd be like, not today, butts.
Mate, they're the worst human beings. Don't disagree. Yeah, my first gig. So after I passed the police academy, I went through. I graduated with my squad, and then I was lucky enough that they had an open vacancy on a squad behind me that were doing OSTU about that time. So I basically completed, I passed out with my squad. Then for 3 weeks, I went and did OSTU with this other squad, and basically got holed up, so I was operational. And then from there, I went to my first police station, which was Rockingham Police Station, and that's south of Perth. So like 45 minutes or so south of Perth. And it's a lovely spot. Lovely spot. Lovely people down that one. Yeah,
That's a shithole, is it?
yeah. It's basically, it was where my mum was first born when they first came to Australia. But yeah, no, it's all right. It's got some nice people in it, and there's certainly like batches of like good spots, but there's a fair bit of shit in and around Rocco, and basically got like the Bermuda Triangle. You've got like Rockingham, Armidale, and Fremantle. So it's like a Bermuda Triangle of shit. Basically, that's the south of Perth. And I worked in all of those spots. They're my favourite spots to work because that's where you catch all the crooks.
Yeah.
Shoot fish in a barrel. But yeah, so went down there. That was 6 months. That was my first gig. And I was a LPT officer for 6 months, mate. So exactly what you were saying, mate. I was on the front counter. I was, and I couldn't drive because I hadn't done driver training. So I was waiting for a spare gig to pop up for driver training to get qualified up. And I was scribing. So I'm sitting there, either with a notepad and pen, or I'm either using back then they were called the TARDIS. So it was like the computer in the car. So I'm just sitting there and I'm plugging away at a keyboard, and at that time, when you're an LPT team, you're just working with crusty old senior connies that like they've done 25 years of fucking GD work, and they've gone to 100 different murders, and they've gone to 100 different scenes, and these are the blokes who know everything, and they're good at their job, but they've also done 25 fucking years of it. So them being an LPT officer, mate, they're like, we're going to go get a coffee, and then we're going to fucking go home because my missus is making me bacon and egg sandwich. Do you want one? And then we're going to fucking go down to the beach and do some patrols. And then, maybe if I'm feeling up to it, we'll serve a couple of VROs or, pick up a couple of boys and one for a case file. And when you're 21, as I was at that point, you're like, I just want to go catch crooks. I just want to drive fast. I want to go get in trouble and cause trouble and catch all bad guys doing trouble and, do all that sort of stuff that you are when you're a 20, 21-year-old young fella. So that was the first 6 months, but I learned a lot. Again, kind of a blessing in disguise, that 6 months of scribing, sitting in the car, listen to a senior officer kind of impart a bit of knowledge and wisdom that is really irreplaceable, is, maybe taken a little bit for granted at the time, but, that comes with youth. And now I kind of fondly look back on those days and the blokes that I work with, fucking this bloke, Dave Soden, I still remember him, mate. He'd been in the army for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, and then he became a copper for, he was in his like 50s or 60s by this point. And but he would still go to every job. He would still, turn out, he'd complain about everything. But that bloke had some pearls of wisdom, and, I reminisce about working with blokes like that, the crusty old senior connie who's just like, this job's fucked, and fuck that cunt, and fucking fuck this, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you learn a few lessons for sure.
That's good, man. And did you think that slowed you down a little bit, or did that just build up a bit of frustration, and maybe not frustration, but build up your keenness for the job and made you more keen to like catapult yourself into the next part, whether it was response or canine or whatever the next sort of step was?
I think it gave me a really good like base and a really good platform to go to where I was going to go next in my career. So like I had, Dave, who was, he was the oldest on the team. It was, he had dyno bars. So he had 2 gold dyno bars. So when you're in the job here, if you're a senior connie, you got 2 chevrons. But for every 5 years of service you do as a senior connie, you get a dyno bar. They start off silver. So if you do 5 years, you get a silver dyno bar. If you do 10 years, you get 2 silver dyno bars, and that's on top of your chevron. If you do 15 years, you get a gold dyno bar. And if you do 20, you get 2 golds. So like I think Dave was like 2 golds. So, he would always take it easy with me, but like, yeah, my missus made us sandwiches, whatever. But then I had some really good guys on the team who kind of could see that I was young in my career. And I was actually very fortunate. At the time, we had a big influx of transitional officers from the UK. and that influx was kind of promoted by Waypol of like, hey, we're not finding the kind of local resources to fulfill our recruiting needs. We need to import from elsewhere in the world. But I was very fortunate that those guys that they did recruit, like one in particular, Greg Kingston, this guy he'd done it all, seen it all over in the UK, which is a much more high tempo environment to what we're used to here in Western Australia. And he had kind of been part of that. He had spent a good chunk of his time doing that over in the UK. So I think he could see in me that I had this kind of want and this desire and this kind of, a dog at a gate. I wanted just to get out. And he kind of tempered that slowly, exposing me to certain elements. He would always take a turbocharged WRX, unmarked turbocharged WRX, with a old school 360 magnet, like you see back in the 80s. You stick it on the roof of the car. So he would get into car chases and he would do kind of all sorts of business, and he would give me that sort of little breadcrumb trail of, hey mate, this is how good it can be, if that makes sense. So get very fond memories of working with that guy.
Yeah, definitely. And that foreign recruiting thing is just anathema to me. I'm like, and I look at it like business, right? You've got to retain clients before you find new ones, because if you retain a client, you've already done the hard work, the trust, you get more money out of them, et cetera, et cetera. To then go looking for new clients, you've got to spend money and time doing it. There's a risk you take, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same with recruiting and people. Like, keep the people you've got. It's just such a strange thing to me, man. And then to recruit from overseas, for me, it's a statement. That's a statement about culture, and it's a statement about like your operational ability. If you can retain your own people and recruit from your own recruitment pool, to then go and try and get people from overseas, I'm like, what are you doing wrong? Why would you? Yeah, we're a country of 26 million people or whatever. Like, there's no shortage of people. Maybe you're just fucking it up.
I think there's definitely like two good ways of looking at it. Like that's certainly one way. You have to be able to retain the troops that you have on hand, and you have to be able to do that, because if you can't do that, mate, you're literally gonna replace, like, when I first joined, zero experience, zero clue, mate. And I was like a bloody lost dog in the woods. I was just stumbling around, howling at the moon. And, you're replacing some 20-year copper or 15 or 10 or 5-year copper with me. When I first joined, I was clueless and as hopeless as they would come, mate. Paperwork, my eyes would go fucking sideways. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. Like, so, it took a bit of work to get me there. But I think probably another way of looking at it is the coppers that they were bringing from overseas, like I said, is completely different tempo, completely different environment. Like, my missus was a transitional copper. So she came over in 2014. We're actually in the police academy together. Had no idea. Like, we've been together 10, 11 years and had no idea we're in the police academy at the same time, any of that business. Would have seen each other around the tracks, but we didn't meet till, a year and a bit later. But, she had done 6 years UK policing, and she was one up in a vehicle by herself, taser operator, working around much higher tempo jobs, chasing blokes with machetes, and working on a job list where they may have priority 1, 2, 3 jobs. They might have 5 priority 1 jobs outstanding, 20 priority 2 jobs outstanding. For us, if that happened here, this place would be burning down, mate. Like, if we had that many jobs outstanding like they do over there. So definitely you have to be able to retain our own people over here. 100% a massive element over here. But to also be able to to import the experience that they were importing from the UK was also quite a good tactical decision, because policing's policing. Like, if you know how to talk to people, the processes might be different. Hey, mate, we don't do this form, or, the form looks slightly different here. But policing in its nutshell is talking to people. It's you're either hunting crooks, you're either talking to people, you're being empathetic with victims and witnesses. That kind of core function of what it is to be a police officer is a key skill that can only be taught with time and repetition. And if we're importing time and repetition, and I know I know for a fact that those guys over in the UK, compared to any copper here in Australia, basically get paid peanuts especially for what they do, especially for the danger they're facing every day. They don't have guns. They don't have, someone comes at them with a knife. They're like, oh, fuck, pull out my taser and pop, pop, hope for the best, like, so you get some really good skills from those individuals, I think. But yeah, ultimately, there was a cultural issue with the retention, I think, as well. Exactly like you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. And because I know there's a few agencies that have done that. I'm pretty sure South Australia was doing that at one point.
Yeah.
And I know they tried the interstate thing as well, hey, come to Northern Territory or Queensland or whatever. But do you think that was their intention? Were they like, hey, let's get some different, maybe more intense acute experience people from overseas? Or they're like, we just need numbers, another Western country speaks English, UK, go.
I think, yeah, that's a good question. I think from my understanding, the program started somewhere in, I think maybe from like 2006, 2008. Back then it was called like the DEETS program, and that's when they first started bringing UK coppers over. And from my understanding, it was like a 50-50 chance of getting like a really shit copper, or like an absolute weapon who knew their shit. I obviously can't speak for the decision making at the process, whether or not it was just like, hey, we need to fill a hole and let's just get like another English speaking country, and England will do, or the UK will do, or whatever. Or if they actually had the foresight to be like, nah, but getting these UK coppers over, they've got experience, they're dealing with bigger shit. I'm not sure, but seemed to have worked out, or worked out for me at least.
100% worked out for you, hound dog. You were straight. You're all over it. You're all over it. You're like, UK recruit. What? Yeah. Welcome to Australia.
Yeah, that's it.
That's good, mate. All right. So you've done college. That was a bit of a journey for you, man. Out on the road, a little bit of a slow intro. Was K9 the next thing for you, or did you just go to a new team with a bit of a different tempo?
Yeah. So I kind of forgot about K9 a little bit, to be honest. Like once I got out into the real world of policing, I just policed. I went from LPT to response. I was at response for 11 months. That's where I met my missus. And then from there, mate, I went back to LPT, come off my probation, and then I went response, a completely different part of out in Armidale way, so kind of that Bermuda Triangle. So started in Rockingham. I went up to Fremantle response. After that was done, I went out to Armidale. So I kind of did that rotation, and I loved it, mate. I loved response. I just loved policing. I loved hunting crooks. I loved working at night time. I loved just kind of like the thrill. Job would come in. You're like blues and twos. You got like a mate in the car, maybe who's about as loose as you are as well, and you just kind of you go into it. You're catching crooks. You're stopping bad people, and you're trying your best to help good people who've had bad things happen to them, really. And it was just fun, and I just relished it, and I loved it. But like all things, kind of, it had its shelf life, and just kind of slowly kind of starts to grind on you. The shift work, the night shift work, the constant, politics that can be policing. Anywhere you go in policing, there's always politics. So yeah, I kind of started to slow down a bit, and about that point in time, the policing model was reverting. So they were going back from the response LPT model back to general duties policing, which was basically just both LPT. You will once one or the other. You're now both. So you're going to man a desk at a fucking police station, and you're also going to be expected to take all the radio calls, and you're also going to be expected to maintain 15 20 case files at a time, and you're also going to be expected to make sure the VROs are on top of, and hey mate, don't forget you've got to do high visibility patrols of the shopping centre while you're there, and don't forget this place is being targeted, and so it just went back to GD's policing, where you're the doorstop for everything in the world.
And can you just give me an idea about the sort of jobs that you liked doing? Like, do you have any that sort of stand out when you were in the GDs?
Mate, I always liked jobs that were a little bit risky. Um, I always enjoyed those jobs because they were just a bit fun. And they were real, if that makes sense. Like, there's it's all well and good to like train and like do all that sort of stuff, but when you're actually going to a job and it's like, a bit fraught with danger, or like you're chasing a car and some shit could go wrong, I really enjoy that because it's like there's the adrenaline, there's your little kick, there's your moment. Especially if you get the crook at the end, you're like, hell yeah, this is what I signed up for. This is the job. But yeah, like, but for every good job you have 10 bad jobs. So you know,
And what's a bad job for you out on the road? And I mean, I'm sure there's different
yeah, yeah,
degrees of bad. There's probably bad that it's like, fucking boring, DV again, right? And then there's
yeah,
bad where it's like, wish I didn't see that.
yeah. Like I didn't like DVs were frustrating from a perspective of you wish that the individuals that you're seeing week in, week out would maybe just take your advice and, mate, just get out of there, fucking leave him, leave her, whoever it is that you're speaking to, whoever your kind of recidivist domestic violence victims are. You just want to kind of be able to be like, you just got to get out of here. And it's easier said than done. It's always easy as a police officer to walk into a situation and be like, hey, I've got the gift of hindsight. I'm not involved at all, like emotionally in this situation. You just need to leave, pack a bag and leave. It's simple as that. But um, they weren't really bad jobs for me. I would always try my best at those jobs because they're just people in a really shit situation. No matter how you look at it, they're just people in a really fucking shit situation. The victims of those crimes. But a really bad job, mate. Like my first fucking bad job that I can really remember is first murder I went to. That was fucking shit. It was like proper like first on murder, like not just like our secondary unit, fucking go sit on this crook in the car or whatever. I remember it was 2015. I was at Response, so second place I'd ever been, and I just sat down with my Subway. Bledisloe Cup was on. I think the Wallabies were playing. Yeah, so obviously Bledisloe Wallabies playing All Blacks, but it was in Hong Kong. Pretty
And you're a
sure it was a
union boy
fucking.
too.
I am, mate. I am rare in Western Australia. Um, but it was a year we fucking beat the All Blacks as well, or won the Bledisloe, and I'm gutted because I missed out on it going to this fucking job, going to this murder. I was with a mate at the time, Gav, who was a North Irish copper, and that's completely fucking different world.
Oh,
Like that,
serious? Yeah.
he's got worries for days about that place, and yeah, just as I'm tucking into my fucking Subway, get this call over the radio, like Victor Echo 104, like need you to turn out a crib. We've got a like priority one welfare check, a 148, just down the road from you in South Lake. A 17 or 18-year-old kid has walked next door to his neighbour's house. He's covered in blood. He's saying, "I've hurt mummy," and this kid's got like severe learning disabilities, severe mental disabilities, like the whole lot, right? So I'm like, fuck's sake. So I roll up my Subway, throw it in the fridge, get in the car. Me and Gav head down there. First on, got three, pull into this cul-de-sac, got three ambos lined up in an ambulance supervisor car, one of the Outbacks. Get out, they're all waiting for us. Walk up to the house. There's this boy sitting there, rocking back and forward in like a lawn chair at the front door of the house. And Gab's like, "Oh, mate, I'll stay with him. He's covered in blood. I'll stay with him. You go into the house." I walk into the house, start clearing it. Ambos follow me in after that. And, as soon as you walk in, it's kind of like the scene from, what's that movie? The Shining, like blood coming out of the elevator, like just it was like blood just everywhere on the walls. It was just fucking blood, like he'd been finger painting with blood, and it was just fucking everywhere. So walk in the hallway of this house. There was this quick TV room to the right. Quickly check that. There's fucking blood everywhere there. The TV's on. Turn left down this other corridor. Big blood trail along the carpet. There's fucking blood everywhere on these walls. Walk up. First door clear. Right door's clear. There's a bathroom there. Big pool of blood in the bathroom there. Empty wheelchair then I turned left into the second open door on my left. And as I do, there's this elderly female laying down. She's obviously dead. But kind of what was a bit more gruesome is in the manner in which she'd been killed. She'd been beat to death. So her head, her brains were exposed, kind of on the floor. And kind of as soon as you see that, you're just like, oh yeah, that's a very distinct smell. And then, Ambo comes in, Ambo supervisor's there, and he's just like, oh mate, yeah, she's obviously cactus, and you're like, yep, sweet. Walk all out. Gab at that point's already got cuffs on old mate, and I'm just like, yeah, mate, she's fucking gone. So pick him up, get some bags on his hands, put him at the back of the car. Next thing you know, 20,000 coppers are there, and the long night begins.
Yeah, shit.
And that was kind of my first proper exposure to a shit job. But yeah.
Yeah, and this might seem like a silly question, but what makes that job shit? Because is it the not the innocence, but is it the naivety of the son, for example, or is it the gruesomeness of the murder itself? What makes that shit for you?
So there were a few other elements to that job. So she was missing one of her legs. So she was wheelchair bound. She wasn't the primary carer. The grandmother of the son who killed her mother, his mother rather, was the primary carer for both of them. Now, unfortunately, not only had he murdered her, but he had also sexually assaulted her as well. So it was a bit more in depth, and there'd been like a lot of markers for those sorts of things happening between those two individuals previously. But yeah, it was basically a rape from what I was told after the fact. So obviously never nice, and kind of having to deal with that, and I was basically fresh out. Like I just basically come from Rockingham Cop Shop and started a response, and it was like, pat on the back, there you go, mate, have fun.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, like I said, not that I said, but I've never been a cop, but I've seen gruesome things, but I guess it's a bit different, right, when you walk into somebody's private world, and you exposed to the things that people never really think about. You know what I mean? That's not just a murder. You get exposed to family dynamics. There's an emotional, psychological disability happening there. There's all sorts of elements at play there. I can see why that's unsettling, to say the least, man.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely it's one of those jobs, and it was definitely, it wasn't like I call it like a standard murder. It wasn't just like, fucking stabbed him in the heart and he's died type thing. It was a bit more in depth than that. So
yeah. And so I got to ask, man, when you go to a job like that, that's for any regular person that's not a cop, that would just shake their fucking world, right? That's probably it's almost world ending for some people, right? When you do a job like that, and like you said, there's a long night ahead, and I'm sure there's all sorts of processes and whatnot you've got to go through with the cops. What happens after that? So you finish that shift or you finish that job, then what happens?
Oh, mate, we had you got to finish kind of being at the scene. You're the primary car, so you're always going to do the handover for the demons who come down after you.
Demons?
Sorry, detectives. Apologies. Yeah, detectives are called demons here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple of funny expressions, but yeah, demons haven't heard it before.
Yeah. They're so named because of their reputation back in the day. Back in the day when they used to, just take a phone book back into the interrogation room, it was like, all right, what have you done, mate? I think that's how they kind of earned their right, back in the 50s and 60s.
Yep.
But no, it was one of those things, your primary car, so got to do the handover. Demons come down from the local, so like that was Fremantle district, so Freo demons come down, do the handover with them, and then you've got to basically just be scene guard. So you're either scribing, which is just recording all of the events, people coming in, people coming out. You're monitoring scene guard, or internal scene guard. So that could be you pull up a chair and you're just basically watching, the hallway between the dead body and the front door to make sure no one's interfering with anything, if that makes sense. You're just kind of sitting in and amongst it, just being like, well, I'm here now. Or you could just be doing a million other things that a detective kind of instructs you to do. So we kind of had to do that. And then Hommies rocked up much later that night, to homicide. And then you could do the handover with the local demons and Hommies, and they kind of take over, and forensics come down and do what they need to do. And I think at that point, mate, like it was, well, like 8 o'clock at night or something, me and Gav still had to go back because, we're first on at a murder. You've got to do your police statement. So like a big part of what you do as like a police officer is obviously like evidencing what you do as like a police officer. And part of that's recorded in what's called like a police statement for court. So a big part of that was we had to go back that night and finish our police statements. At least get it to kind of like a draft version, have a supervisor read off on it, sign off on it. They're like, yeah, you boys are sweet. And then, your first shift back the next day, you're finishing off that statement. Make sure it's good for the demons because you are the first car on.
Yeah, and I'm asking that question because it's such an interesting thing, right? You probably expect to see and experience certain things as part of that job, and then maybe you go to something like that and it wasn't what you expected, right? And then obviously you've got to go through, do your processes, and maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't, maybe it just puts it off to another day, but there's no real decompression though, is there? I mean, you obviously maybe you go and finish your Subway sandwich, maybe you look at your sandwich and go, meatballs and fucking tomato sauce, no thanks.
I think like nowadays they're probably a bit better at doing it. Like they're not perfect, but they're definitely a bit better at doing it. But back then, mate, back when I first did it, I still fucking remember coming in, and the first thing I was ever kind of getting spoken to about that job, it wasn't, hey mate, that was pretty fucking heavy, how you doing? It was like, hey mate, look, you didn't fucking do this, or you didn't do this, or definitely like there was a mentality from some of the older generation of coppers like, oh well, I would have done this, and kind of boasting about, after the fact with the ability of hindsight, I would have done this better, and not to be used as a learning tool, just as a dick measuring kind of contest. It's not very productive when you as a junior copper are kind of sitting there like, yeah, but how does that help me, mate? And there definitely isn't that decompression aspect. So you just wear it really, and you get on with the job, and that's what you have to do, mate.
On to the next job. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such an interesting concept to me, man, that you guys can just go from something like that to then, back at the station, get criticised, go out to the next job. Might be the same thing, might be worse, might be something, boring. It's just, I don't know. I find it fascinating, man, talking to cops and first responders about that stuff, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're lucky, you'll get like a good supervisor who will take care of you, if you're lucky. But for the most part, mate, those sergeants are few and far in between.
That's a shame, man. Yeah. And what about Gav? How was he? So obviously you guys maybe paired together for a few different jobs or shifts.
Yeah.
Was having a good partner better for that type of stuff? So a guy like Gav who's maybe done it all in Northern Ireland, seen all sorts of stuff, can talk you through something, or at least discuss it or whatever. Did that help?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that was probably like the biggest saving grace, having those individuals who are experienced and they've done that shit before, and maybe for whatever reason they haven't had that interaction. So their ability to maybe even just have like a laugh and a joke, not even about that situation or scenario, but just kind of take your mind off maybe even the task at hand, whatever it could be, mate. Could be moving a dead body, it could be like doing something fucking pretty gruesome, and they're just kind of having a laugh and a joke, or just taking your mind off it, or hey mate, let's go fucking get a coffee, or whatever else it is. They're having those kind of blokes, and Gav was good. He spoke about fucking a million miles an hour, and you could hardly understand the cunt, but he was good. Yeah.
Irish dude, you said. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sounds like the kind of guy I want to speak to, mate.
Oh, mate, yeah.
So what about fun jobs though? Do you have any fun
Hmm.
jobs in GDs before? Because I want to get onto keynote in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Any like standout fun jobs in GDs that was like one of your favourites, for example, catching a crook, kicking a door in, bashing some dude.
I had a few like I had a few chases that were fun. You know, chases are always fun. Um, but I also had some like good jobs where I was able to really, really fucking help people who needed help. And like you talk about like fun, like yeah, there's that like excitement, there's that danger, there's all that sort of good shit. But when you're actually able to like really help someone out, there's some real satisfaction in that, at least for me. Like you help, like you find a kid who's fucking lost, and you're like, right, like I've helped, you know, that fucking something bad could have happened to that kid, or talking someone down from killing himself, or like something like that is always very memorable, and there's a couple memorable moments there. But in terms of like fun, proper fun, I remember when I was working out Arm and Hour Response. This is like a good 12 months after I was at like Fremantle Response. I was working with this bloke, this sergeant named Jeff, and he was the only pursuit driver that we had in our team or sister team. So he was my sister team sergeant. The way response teams work is you've got like a team of like one sergeant with potentially 10 to 6 staff, and then you've got a sister team, the exact same sort of format. The one team would start early, generally about 1 to 2 hours earlier than your sister team, and your sister team would finish about 1 to 2 hours later. So you guys kind of overlap each other and you work together. So hence the name sister team. You're kind of very close. You're very close with everyone on the other team. You work with people on the other team, etc., etc. If you know you've got an extra hand and the other team has an extra hand, you pair up with that person, for example. So anyway, this day I was working with this sergeant from a sister team. This pursuit started right on the edge of our district, kind of started coming into our district, and it was like fucking 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like we're just close to knock off time. And he's like, do you want to fucking go, Nick? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, mate, why not? Like, let's fucking do it. So we hooked into that. It took us like, yeah, 100%, mate. And it was just like, yeah, like the other guys, sliding across bonnets. Nah.
Racking shotguns, nice.
Yeah, mate, I fucking wish. That would have been great having a shotgun. But no, fucking took off after these guys. Big pursuit, big kind of like everyone was ghosting it. So like ghosting it means like may not be on the job, but like you're following the pursuit, so you're in the convoy. Just imagine like 5 police cars after this one fucking car, and you've got like another 10 police cars behind that, just fucking keeping up and ghosting it, or going off to little side streets in case they can hook in a bit of primary. But the sergeant was a pursuit driver, so we got fucking hooked straight to the front of the line. They're like, yeah, mate, go hell for leather, catch up to it, you can take over type thing. So went through one district, 2 districts, ended up in a 3rd district, and as we're doing it, this guy was just he was fucking cooked. Wrong side, he's going down this Leach Highway. He's wrong side down Leach Highway, which is like 3 lanes either side, big highway, and you got this unit called ROG, which are just like a riot police. They end up like stinging a bunch of city cars, like popping the tires of a bunch of city cars, pop their own mate's tire, like miss the crook entirely. And then all of a sudden, like the crook pulls into a servo, fills up his car quick. Like two coppers try to like pin him in. He fucking somehow manages to get out. Then all of a sudden, it's just me and this sergeant at the primary. So he's like lost like 20 cop cars or whatever it was, right? Something stupid. And we got pole air overhead, so the chopper, and it's just me and this sergeant, and we're just hooking in. Hits this road called Stock Road that just goes fucking south for miles. And this cunt's just hooking it like 200 Ks, like fucking, and we're like capped at 140. I'm asking for like increase in our speed. We get increase in our speed, like catching up. We're like maintaining visuals. Then out of nowhere, this fucking unmarked car, and I'm like convinced to this day it's just some busted ass sergeant detective who just jumped in an unmarked cop car, and he's tried to like this crook. He's missed it, spun out. We're following him, and we go into this suburb called Kwinana. He starts fucking hopping fences. I'm hopping fences after him. My sergeant's doing laps. Other units start getting in, and this cunt jumps on a shed. Like this shed, I'll manage to grab his leg, pull the cunt off, and then as I do, I just hear this fucking sniffling in my face. and I just see this fucking police dog come in, and it's one of the canine handlers, and he just popped around this like blind. He's got his dog like short. He's popped around. I'm like, oh fuck! I'm about to get bit in the face, and this dog's just chirping off in this crook's face, and it was pretty. That was like high fives all around. Like got there, got the crook up, and that fucking sergeant jumped out. He's like high fiving everyone. You're just like, yeah, that's what I signed up for. That's the sort of stuff I signed up for.
That's good, man. That's funny, eh?
Yeah.
And obviously that's probably one time when you're like, all right, cool, maybe canines are a way to go after this. Is that kind of how that happened?
Yeah, a little bit.
Perfect.
A little bit, yeah. Kind of started like all the canine handlers that you kind of see just going around, mate. They're just constantly getting amongst it, catching crooks. You see them with their dogs. You're just like, hey, mate, what help can I be? Where do you want me? I'll fucking sit in my cord for 10 hours. Just tell me where to go. Like, and they're all, little jets. So they just go off and they just do their work with their dog and catch crooks, and you're just happy to be a part of it. And I just kind of wanted to be a small part in that big wheel, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And maybe a strange question, right? But what does it feel like sitting here talking to me, telling stories that you probably wouldn't be sitting around the office talking about, if that makes sense? I mean, because from my perspective, I look at first responder jobs that I didn't do, right? Military was fun. I had a great time. But when I look at the first responder jobs, I'm like, oh, that, because it's different. I'm like, that's really cool. You might talk about the most mundane job ever, and I'm like, wow, that's fun.
Yeah.
Because you kind of like us, we don't sit around telling cool stories about how awesome we are. You guys don't sit around the station telling stories, and then you get on the podcast, I'm asking you to recount these stories, and it's fun, obviously.
Yeah.
Does it ever make you feel a bit awkward telling a story like that and enjoying it, knowing that we don't typically do that when we're back in the job, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
And obviously I'm prompting you, I want to hear the story, and that's the whole point of the podcast. But I don't think I've ever asked that question, like...
I don't know. Like, I don't feel like coppers love having a yarn. It actually kind of, an answer's also tied into the question you asked earlier, like how do you decompress from that sort of shit? When you see a bad job, coppers, I think to a certain extent, are very good at relating their own traumatic experiences, if that's what you want to call it, when you go to a shit job, with coppers who maybe have just gone and done it. So, a potential way of looking at that's like, you go to a really shit job, and then you're kind of there, and maybe you're back at the station at end of shift, and you're all doing your fucking end of shift paperwork. And one of the boys is like, fuck, how was that job you blokes went to? Like, what the fuck happened? You're like, oh yeah, it was fucking cooked, cunt died, like it was fucking hanging from the rafters, whatever. Whole family was outside fucking yelling at us, throwing shit at us, and, did fucking CPR on them, so the ambos came and got the cunt fucking in the ambo and just did what you could, but, it was what it was. And then one of the other boys might pipe up and be like, fuck, mate, I had a job like that, and blah, blah, blah. So from that kind of like storytelling perspective, like every copper's, I think, a pretty good storyteller. Every copper kind of loves to have a yarn and share their experiences. And there are some coppers that take it as like a dick measuring contest who are a bit like, oh yeah, well that's fucking shit, mate. What I fucking did was this and this and this, and I fucking pulled a gun, and I was leaning out the window and shooting rounds, and whatever. It's fucking full of shit. But the coppers who are genuinely just having a yarn with, and you're just relating to, and having a bit of like camaraderie and a bit of banter and a bit of friendship with, it can happen. It definitely happens. For me, it's definitely happened quite a few times. So it's not bad kind of telling stories and just having a yarn and relating.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And I think that's probably the answer I was looking for, right? There's something cathartic in talking about this stuff, whether it's just because you enjoy telling the story, or you're doing it purposely for being cathartic, or passing on the lessons. I think you can sort of achieve all three of those things, by telling the story or recounting something. So, I don't know. I've never thought to ask that question, and that's something that I teach when I'm doing the stuff that I do with Warriors and Wardens. So, anyway, thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude.
Oh, that's right.
And then obviously you're talking about canine. What about TRG? Did that ever pop up for you as an option? Did you get to work with those guys?
Well, I tried for TRG, mate, and I've never cut mustard. I was never fit enough, and I never put enough effort in, to be completely blunt with you, mate. Like, I was never I was never mentally or physically prepared enough for what it was that the kind of selection actually called for, and I think a big part of that was motivation. When I think of myself, like I'm a individual that likes doing things that they want to do because they want to do it. So if something doesn't hold significance or purpose or some, doesn't actually speak to a core value of mine, then I'm like, I don't really fucking want to do it. And I started doing TRG. I went through selection, prepped for it all, to the best of my ability. And ultimately, when I went on selection and did that, I found myself asking the big question, like, what the fuck am I actually doing this for? Because, why? Like, I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm not necessarily geared mentally towards that way. I'm not necessarily like super tactically savvy, or it's just not kind of like my remit, if that makes sense. So when I was on selection, I kind of asked myself that hard question, and ended up just being like, fuck, maybe this isn't for me. And lo and behold, it wasn't. And I'm actually glad. I'm glad I kind of went and did it. Glad I had that experience, and glad I kind of found that part of myself out, that if I want to go do something, there needs to be the motivations. It's not just the superfluous, egotistical reason that at the time I was kind of doing that for, of being like, hey, I want to be one of these really cool guys with a big gun and fucking wearing pajamas and doing all this kind of cool tactical stuff. Like, I need to be doing what I'm doing for a reason. I need to be suffering for a reason. If I'm going to be suffering on selection, if I'm going to be doing this, it needs to be for a good reason.
Mate, that's a fascinating response, right? Because it's so. I think people could go through that same experience, right? Go on selection, not pass, and not have that introspection that you've got, right? And not, maybe they remove themselves from the course, and then instead of going like, hey, you know what? I'm glad I asked that big question, because I didn't do something that I didn't want to do. I thought I wanted it. I got there, and it's not what I wanted. And then, come off the course and regret it and be like, go back and do it again and do it again. And then maybe not get in and beat yourself up because you didn't do it. But obviously you've got a head on the shoulders, and you've gone, you know what? I actually didn't want to do it, because I actually asked myself the real question, what do I want? And I honestly don't think a lot of people ask themselves that question, dude. What do I actually want? Is the thing that I'm doing now what I want, or is there a vision of what I think it's going to be that's what I'm after?
Yeah, exactly right. And again, like I'm very thankful for my experience doing it. I mean, the guys who do that sort of work, and the guys who like operate at those like levels, initial, like I fucking take my hat off to them. Like I said, I certainly can't do it, and there's some really, really interesting individuals who are able to do that sort of thing, and they're very strong people to be able to do that sort of thing. So I take my hat off to them. And yeah, it was that ability of kind of being like trying for it, failing it, like you say, having that introspection, I suppose, or having that moment of just kind of clarity of being like, what is it that I actually want to do? And then maybe really initially revisiting, like, what is it that I like doing as a police officer? And then what is it that I became a police officer for? Like what reason did I become a police officer? And it's like, well, I want to help good people, and I want to stop bad people. Like, it's as simple as that for me. That's why I did what I did. And why do you want to be K9? It's just like, well, I look at all the other K9 operators going out of there, and they're just like catching crooks, or maybe they're finding missing people, or maybe they're just fucking stopping cars, or they're just going to jobs and backing up. They're just supporting in any way possible to kind of help where they can. And that resonated strongly with me. I was just like, right, me and my dog in the back of the car, I'm going to help as many people as I fucking can for as long as I can. And yeah. So when it kind of came to selection for me, doing canine selection, like, firstly, like two things. Like, I've been very lucky to be surrounded by, I think, like I said earlier, I'm surrounded by individuals who are very competent. And I think when you're surrounded by very competent individuals, it makes it a lot easier to take a step forward, because you've got their lessons to learn from. But I had this guy on my team, Scummy, and kind of just before, like, I got through the paper sieve, Scummy, yeah. Not for the reasons you may think. It was a surname thing, but he was Scummy nonetheless. And he is a great bloke. And I remember a piece of advice he gave me kind of the week before I went on selection. It was like the last shift, working night shift. And he was just like, mate, just be yourself, just be honest and be genuine. And, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not for you. And that's a really good, and I've definitely tried to take that forward. Just prepare the best you can for anything. Have the best kind of setup that you can. But then when it actually comes time to do the task, fuck mate, if it doesn't work out, like you did fucking everything you could. Like what else could you have possibly done? And I kind of went into canine selection with that attitude of like, I'm just going to try my best. I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to try my best. And if I'm lucky, I might have a bit of fun doing it. And I was lucky that I passed, and I was lucky that I also had fun doing it. I had lots of fun doing that selection course. As much as you get fucking beasted in PT and you're like run around in a bite suit for a fucking hour and all that sort of stupid fucking shit, but it was fun.
Yeah, awesome, man. And did you go through with Jaden or anyone that I would know?
Yeah, Jaden. So our selection courses were actually split into 2 weeks. So also went through with Leash.
Awesome, yeah.
But she was a different week. So me and Jaden were the first week of selection, and then they were the second week of selection. So I think from our 2-week course, they took 10 of us into the pool, into the section, and it was a bloke named Connor and Leash who got picked up first, and then another bloke, Benny, I'm good mates with, he got picked up third, and then it was me, and then a chick named Amy got picked up fourth and fifth, and then it was Jaden got picked up after that. So just out of the selection pool, and yeah, it was good. Good.
Nice, man. And who was your first dog? Because it wasn't Boogie, was it?
No, it was.
Oh no, shit.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't tracking the Boogie timeline. I remember Brad talking about him, but I wasn't sure when he had him and when he trained him and whatnot.
No. So I got I think Boogie had just come there 2 weeks before I rocked up. So he was still living in the kennels and was basically fresh off the boat, same as me. And then it was first week you're there, you rock up, fucking. I think I was cleaning out a shed, mate. I was cleaning out 2 dog sheds. The boss just came out to me and the other trainee dog handler, Amy at the time, were the only me, her, and Ben. And they were just like, hey, clean this shed out. There's fucking bite suits and shit and mannequins and all this sort of dog training equipment. And you just do that to the best of your ability. And they're, all right, now fucking go do this and go fucking do this and blah, 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 blah. And my first kind of interaction with Boogie was Ben, the guy that I mentioned. He had been there a couple months before us, and he was partnered with another dog called Rolo, who was a Dutch Shepherd who ended up getting cut. And then he had Rolo, and then he was also kind of helping to train and feed and I suppose to a certain extent fundamentally develop Ace, Boogie, and Wraith. So Ace, Boogie, and another dog called Wraith, who actually ended up being Ben Martin's dog for a little bit. Were kind of the 3-starter fucking Pokemon dog type thing, Just there's the 3 of them, mate. Fucking, but we didn't get to choose. So, I've got some pretty early memories of being taken into a big shaping room as the training room. Hey, take your fucking leash, go get Ace out of the kennel. So, I'd walk down, I'd get Ace out, fucking walk his fluffy little fucking bum up into the shaping room, and they're like, all right, just fucking do this, and you're sweating, mate, because you got Ben Gert sitting in the corner, super fucking dog training extraordinaire, and obviously remember him from selection because it was on selection as well, and you're just fuck, you're nervous as fuck, and you're just trying to do everything right and good and try your best as well, and you've got a training sergeant there, Steve-O, and then you've got all the other trainees watching you. So you've got this fucking panel of your peers and of all the trainers, and try not to look like a complete fucking knobhead. Yeah, it was great.
It's funny, man. That was one of my first experiences with Canine too. It was a shaping session. It was just me and this other guy called Will, General. And I remember I was like, because you're probably the same as you, right, with clicker and free shaping and knee papo and whatnot.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, wow. So if I click the thing, he thinks that that's the right behavior. And he's like, yeah. Briefly explained this, classical conditioning, operant conditioning. And in my head, I was like, if I fucking click this thing at the wrong time, this dog's fucked.
Yep.
Like, if he's taking a piss or something, or if he like lays down when he's not supposed to, and I click it, this dog's he's gonna start doing the wrong thing, and I'm gonna fucking ruin this dog.
Yep.
So it's intimidating, right?
Yep.
You know, especially if I didn't have a lot of people watching me. It was one guy, but
the worst was when you're doing something and like I'm good friends with Gertz. He's a really good bloke. I've got a lot of time for him. But like he does this thing where he sighs. When you fuck up, he sighs. And mate, the disappointment you feel in your like heart and soul, it's just like he's just sitting there and you just hear this, and you're just like, I'm a dumb cunt. Sorry, mate. Like I've done something wrong or like whatever. And you don't know if he's actually like, like what's happening. You're too involved in trying to do the best job you can for that dog. But you just get these fucking moments of like, fuck.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I've heard other people say the same thing about Gertz. He does that like,
yeah, man. It was, and it wasn't just shaping sessions. Like once we started doing drug work, and then like we had a lot more trainees by that point. So again, the crowd's just growing and growing. It's just it's like here's a spotlight, go and perform type thing, and you're like, oh yeah, sweet, and you're just trying to get your dog to stick his nose in a fucking a cylinder just for working on shaping for like a final response behavior for the drug work. And it's just like you fuck up, you say yes at the wrong time or you press a clicker at the wrong time. It's just like, and you're just like, mate, I'm retarded. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking retarded. You just.
So what about when did you get paired up with Boogie? So you're training with all three dogs, and they've gone, hey, Boogie's yours. Are you straight out on the road, or do you go through training, mixing with the three dogs, or a variety of dogs, and then they just give you Boogie and you go out and start doing it?
Nah, so I think it was the end of the second week. So like kind of first week, you get like your kennel in your house, you're doing all the run around, getting shit prepped for like getting a dog and whatnot, right? Getting like your safe in your house and all that sort of stuff for your gun, like all that business. And then I think it was like the end of the second week or like a little bit into the second week, we went out for just a pack walk. So I think Benny took Ace. Amy started off with Rafe, and he was this big fucking black shepherd. And so she had him, and I just had Boogie. And we'd gone out for this pack walk, and Boogs just starts fucking cooking off. And he's just like, bah, bah, bah. And I'm just standing there and I'm just like, what the fuck's happening? And then Gertie's like, tell that dog to shut the fuck up. And I'm just like, all right, shut up. And he's just like, fuck. I'm just like, okay, well, then that worked. So then you just walk out, you do a pack walk. And obviously, again, with the ability of hindsight, they're putting these stress tests on you. They're doing all these things to see how you're reacting, to see how you're dealing with the situations put in front of you. And then I think it was at the end of that day, they were just like, all right, mate, like you finish up with Boogie, you're taking him home tonight. And I'm just like,
fuck yeah.
All right, no, okay, sweet. No dramas. And like I was fortunate enough just to, I never got paired up with another dog. I never just changed dogs. So I must have thought I was doing something okay. But yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about your first job with Boogie? What was that like? Do you remember your first job with him?
Oh, I don't know if I remember first job. I remember first dog arrest. I don't know, first job. Fuck. I don't know, mate. I probably did something fucking horrendous. I can tell you that much. Like I'm the slowest fucking learner in the world. I'm happy to say that about myself, but like I think I did a lot kind of wrong before I started kind of doing things right, or less of me doing things right and more of me not fucking with the dog who was trying to do things right, if that makes sense. So yeah, mate, it was just, I think it was probably a fucking superfluous job. I can't even remember the first job, but I remember first dog arrest, and they came after a bit of time. I remember all the other handlers were out on the road operational with their dogs that all got dog arrests, and like Jaden had already got his first bite by that point with Ace, and you're just like, oh, fuck, well, fucking shit, can't catch anyone. So no, but I remember it was this It was out in Thornley, which is Armadale Patch again. It's a horn of mine. And then there's like this African fella came over to another African family's house. It's kind of like honor-based violence type thing. He was like,
Oh, that
I'm
dog shit.
gonna, I'm gonna beat you up, and after that, I'm gonna take your woman, and that's gonna be my woman type thing. So, but he did what he said. He did beat the bloke up in his own house, and but then the coppers ended up coming, and he ended up doing the back fence, and in the process, he managed to slice up his hands pretty severely. So I rock up on the street behind, and I was very lucky. I had a bloke named Brad Michelle, who used to be a dog handler. He was a dog handler for many years, and very good one at that. And he was at a canine at this point, and he just kind of came along. He was at a different unit, and he's just like, "Hey, bro, how are you? You gonna get books out?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." And he's just like, "Yeah, like the wind's pretty fucking dead. You should be on with money here, and blah blah blah. You know, should be sweet. You know, it's late at night, no winds, environmental conditions are good. You know, like cold enough and all that sort of stuff." And you know, you could see like a blood trail kind of stop, like little blood drip. So I'm like, good a place as anyone to start. So cast books around, takes me straight down the street. You know, we fucking wander for a good 50 meters that way. I'm just like, mate, there's something not fucking adding up here. Like I know I'm done. Like I'm very fucking done, but there's something not quite adding up here. And maybe I'm just going to take Boogie back up to that start point, have like another little go. And we did it. And then all of a sudden he started taking me to the front door of this house, kind of right on the verge of where we started. And I'm just, what the fuck are you doing? It's like maybe someone come out of their front door, and why are all these cops in their street type thing? So I've gone up like that. And this is where, you know, trust your dog really comes in. I've got my fucking torch out. I've gone up to the front door to knock on the door like a dickhead. Bookie's turned, like we're at the top story. There's this staircase going down to this little kind of dugout, little cave and kind of like wood pile area. Boogie's just turned and he's just looking down the stairs. And I'm just like, oh, I'll just fucking knock on this door. I knock on the door, and then I'm like, "You looking at Boogie?" And I shine my torch. And there's this bloke fucking hiding in this little cat. And I'm just like, oh shit. As soon as the torch has gone on, Boogie's cooked off, and I'm just like, all right, well, you knew where he is, and I need to fuck with you less. That's the lesson to be learnt here. So this bloke's answered his door, and there's a copper there with a dog fucking cooking off, and then Boogie's like, "Oh, who the fuck's that?" Barks at him. I'm like, "No, focus on him, dickhead." Like, Brad's come over, got the bloke in cuffs, and yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah. Obviously, he's given up, right?
Yeah,
Because he's sitting
really
there passive.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. He's just kind of hiding and just bleeding.
Yeah. What about bites? What about you? Did you get any bites of Boogie?
Yeah, got 2 bites.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell me. Come on, show me. Tell me all about
it. So first one we got, again, our Armadale one. Funny that. And I'm fucking sitting at Armadale Soccer Club, which was just go down late at night, throw the ball. There's no other man or his dog around. It's nice and secluded. And then I've been kind of in that area because there'd been a north side gang that had ripped a motor, so stolen a motor. And they were down in south side, like Armadale, Thornley, all in around those suburbs, and they were doing burgs, etc., stealing shit. So I knew they were probably going to be active. And then got a call over the radio. It's a traffic car, and like 2:00 in the morning, traffic car. That's pretty unusual. So it was actually a traffic sergeant who popped out for crib. You know, they live in a station, but he's popped out for crib. On his way back in a completely unmarked motor, he's had this stolen motor pull in front of him. And this unmarked motor that he was in couldn't be spotted for a mile away. So he's just lazily following this car behind. And they're heading into Armadale, probably to get up to some mischief on kind of a main road. As soon as I've heard this, mate, fucking boogie straight at the car, and I've just hooked it like Mac fuck to get there. Yeah, that's it. And then I pulled up to a side road. Like they're kind of coming along like this way, like that. I pulled up to a side road just off here, like hidden in the bush. They had another car, a rogue car, parked up there with a stinger. Whole plan being that this traffic copper's going to light them up. They're going to take off. Stinger's prepped. Pop, pop. Tires get popped. They're going to obviously start legging it. Makes it a much more kind of successful to catch crooks when they're not in a motor. They can go wrong side of the road, lights off, and kind of evade you. So plan goes to plan. The tyres get popped. I hook in behind it. The boys have popped the tyres, and the sergeant and we all rush up behind the car. It's slowing down. Comes to a paddock off the side of this main road called Ranford Road, and we're approaching another road called Tonkin. comes off, crashes into this paddock with cows all in it, and 4 heads just fucking spurt. Me and Boogie jump out, I fucking hot hatch him straight over the fucking fence. 2 of the kids give up straight away. They pop straight over to a couple of the coppers when they see the dog. 2 keep squirting. 1 gets caught probably about 5 minutes later. So there's only 1 outstanding, who was the driver. And then I was there for, I don't know, good 3 and a bit hours. And I was just searching, just through thick fucking bushland, just cows, kangaroos fucking hopping out. And I'm just like, there's something, like, you're losing hope. And it's actually funny, like, one of the lessons, like, I remember distinctly being taught by Gertzy when I was a trainee, it was all about, like, hope. Like, hope for the dog, but also hope for yourself. Like, when you're area searching or you're tracking, there's these little signs, there's these little tells that give you a little bit of hope. Like, maybe there's something here. And that's the only question you need to ask yourself to really keep pushing, because Boogie's the type of dog that will keep going no matter what. Like, that dickhead won't stop. The only reason he'll stop is when you call it and say, like, mate, I think, old mate's long gone, whatever, he's broke the cordon. So I was just looking for these signs of hope. And I found a few bits, discarded gloves, jumpers, etc. And I was just having no luck. Hundreds of cows in this paddock, roos hopping everywhere, had a pretty good cordon set up, and it was just zero luck whatsoever. And by this point in time, we'd caught a few crooks. We'd kind of been starting to really refine our process. I was really starting to understand Boogie and kind of what he looked like when he was on, when he changed his behaviour, those little intricacies you find out about your dog. And just as we're popping out of this paddock back to the main road, one of these, the cars, because everyone else had bailed by the scene at this point, they're like, we got 3 out of 4, we're happy. And I was like, I want to catch this other cunt. And this car's popped up. It's like, hey, man, we're peeling. We got 3 of our crooks. They were the main car. We got 3 of our crooks back at the station. We could go back and deal and put on the brief, do all the sort of paperwork. And I was just like, yeah, of course, bro. I'm just going to keep looking for a bit longer. Then as I've come out to this main road where I know no crooks have been, Boogs has just kind of had this head flick, and I'm just like, that's just a bit fucking weird. Like, I'm just going to follow you for a bit and see what you do. And so I just followed him, and, it wasn't like dedicated tracking. It wasn't anything special. And then it just became a bit more, like, he became a bit more confident. He became a bit more sure. His behaviour changed a bit more, changed a bit more. And then all of a sudden, and we're kind of like half on, half off hard road surface. So like main road and kind of like dirt, bitumen, sand. And then he's just kind of come to this truck pit, and this big road, Ranford Road, comes across this big main road called Tonkin Highway, and it's just a big truck stop for trucks to pull off and fucking rest in. And this cunt has just turned, like Boogie, he's just turned like on a dime, and he's just started powering down the middle of this big asphalt side strip. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So I've just trusted him, followed him, got to the end of this asphalt. He's just put up on 2 legs, and he's standing up on 2 legs trying to pull me into the, like, a bit of a drop down into this bushland. And it's, again, all that same sort of bushland. And I'm like, fuck it, all right, we're going for it. And gave the canine challenge, went down into the bushland, and the scrub was thick as fuck. And again, like, credit to the trainers and the people who kind of brought me up and helped me out being a dog handler. Like, they just, I remember a very clear lesson of, mate, sometimes your dog's just going to fucking want to go through some shit bush. And all you can do is just fucking go like this and just walk. That's all you can do. And you just follow your dog. Just trust your fucking dog. So I gave this big fucking loud challenge, stomped into the bushland. I just start doing this shit. And then I just feel the line go slack, and I just hear this, ah. And then Boogie, I'm just like, oh, fuck, he's got someone. And he just pulled this cunt out of this bush. He was lying perfectly doggo under this big swath of bushland. Ripped him straight out. I've just grabbed Boogie. My fucking torch has flown off. I had like a hands-free torch on my ballistic vest, and I've just put that on. That's fucking died on me because I've been out for so long. All my fucking torch battery's dead. I'm just like, fuck's sake. So I'm trying to get Boogie out, and it was a pretty messy out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty fucking messy out. Like, I was just trying to get him out. I was trying to, like, out. He wouldn't out, so fucking e-collar stem, like, no response to e-collar stem. Oh, fuck's sake. So he just rode the lightning, and I just pulled out my breaker barred him off. And as I breaker barred him off, this fucking crook has started waving his head back and forth, and Boogie's just gone, bah, not on his head, but he's grabbed his hoodie, just torn a massive hole in the top of his fucking hoodie, and I'm like, cunt. Like, It was perfect placement. Like, even though this crook was hiding in the bushland, perfect placement right on the back of the tricep. Yeah, the dog did all the work. I was just holding the line. But it was fucking awesome.
Mate, there's a lot in there, bro. There's a lot in there, right? 3.5 hours, you said, looking for this dude?
I'll think about that, yeah. Could be a bit less. I may be over exaggerating, you know.
Let's
Fucking
call
8 inches, not 5, you know.
I got a joke about that, which I'll tell you offline. But mate, let's just call it 2 hours, right?
Sure.
Let's just shave it almost in half. 2 hours, which wasn't. It was 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Looking for a dude with not getting much, you know, knowing that you might not find him and that you could very well just, you know, maybe look him up later or something, right? That's a significant search, dude. That's commitment from you and from Boogie, right? There's the out too was interesting to me because you've obviously used all of your different levels of training. You've got your verbal, you've got your tactile, and then you've done the breaker bar. So you've got contingencies there. You've obviously done a lot of training. You've practiced. You know, you're a professional. You've done a good job. There's a lot going on there, man, for your first job. That's awesome, bro. That's a fucking good story.
Yeah, it was right. It was right.
Yeah. Obviously, the out was because Brad's a bad dog trainer, and you know.
Don't tell him that.
It's funny because I know I'm going to make sure he listens to this one. So I think I gave him too much credit early on, but I need to fucking slag him off a bit. That's good, man, dude.
Yeah,
and because you've got a second bite. Do you mind telling us about the second one too? I'm all excited about dog bites now, so I want to hear about it.
Yeah. No, that was a bit more clinical, like knowing what to expect from the first, but it was probably a good like 8 or 9 months after, and it was like you just keep catching crooks in that time. Like I think, like I said, like kind of once you break your first like dog arrest, like so like non-bite, just standard dog arrest, like you really just start getting into it and you really start fucking loving it. And then after I got my first bite, I was just like, right. And at that time, I was really trying to up my training and tracking, area searching, doing a lot of like hard surface stuff because I knew that was definitely one of our deficiencies. And it was one of those things where I'm like, right, Western Australia is hot. There's a fuck ton of concrete because the majority of fucking people over here are wogs, just not my family, so they just lay concrete. And that's really hard to track on. So you got to kind of know what your weakness is and do your best to kind of do better on that. And just before I got that second fucking dog bite, I remember doing a training serial with leash. And it was basically like on fucking par with what that dog bite was. And I just remember like leash was doing training with other people and I was just like, hey mate, gave her a call. I was just like, hey, do you mind if I fucking pop in, just do a bit of, so like, yeah, fucking get your dog down here and I'll jump in a bite suit. And it was fucking perfect. And it kind of set us up beautifully for this dog bite, obviously not knowing that, you know, that dog bite would be coming. But yeah, and I think it was like, I don't know, a week later or like a couple of shifts later or whatever the fuck it was. And I was just working day shift. I was heading down South Mandurah Way with a unit called like RAS, so Rapid Apprehension Squad. They're just a bunch of detectives that like fucking chasing cunts really fast and all that sort of stuff, cowboys. And but they love it. We love them. And as I'm going down there, we literally had a call for a hotmon for Polair for a drone to come over some bushland, a place called Rockingham. My first kind of policing kind of jurisdiction. I mentioned a bit out of the town in the bushland area. And then I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, fuck, if they're calling for a drone, that probably means they're looking for a crook. So I quickly look up the job and I'm like, fuck, they're looking for like, you know, this cunt's like known wanted sex offender, he's wanted for a whole bunch of burgs, all this sort of like bullshit. It's just dreg of society, just an oxygen thief. And
it sounds like it's going to be a good job in this one. I like this.
It was good fun. And I just went, fuck it. So I jumped on the private radio channel for the RAS boys and I'm like, oi boys, like I'll meet you at the RV. I just want to see if I can help the Rocco demons because they're looking for fucking old mate just up the road and I'm just going to flip a Yui quick. They're like, yeah, sweet, we'll fucking see you at the RV, no rush. So do a fucking Yui, get there. The drone boys were just kind of finishing their work because they're like, mate, bushland's too thick, it's too fucking dense, we're not going to fucking get shit. We can't see anyone anyway, it's daytime, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, sweet. And and I knew the sergeant who was running it there because I actually worked with him when I was working at another place called Coburn Police Station. There was a sergeant there doing a different role, and Fairy, shout out to Fairy, but he's a good operator, and he's just like, yeah, fuck mate, don't give a fuck, throw your fucking dog through, hopefully you bite the cunt, blah blah blah. So all right, so put Boogs, send him in, and we come across this like shantytown camp that this bloke had set up. So it like tent city type in the middle of this bushland, kind of covered, dense foliage over the top. Like he'd done really well. It had chickens, had like fucking like a goat running around, like just living off the land, mate. And as we kind of come around to this kind of shantytown setup, him and his missus were living in, like Boogie's just giving me this big fucking flick and this big change of behaviour. Probably about like direction, like if we're standing towards the front door, like on my back right, away from where the shanty town was. But there were all chickens there, so I'm also like, fuck, does he just want to eat a chicken? Like, I don't know. Give it, again, just trust your dog, give it a run, fucking why not? And I've gone through, Boogie's like, get the fuck out of my way, chickens. Like, he did not give a fuck about him. And then, again, he's just propped at this big set of bushes. And I'm just like, all right, but like, gave police canine challenge again, nothing. I'm just like, sweet, like, had the long line on. He's just kind of gone in, and you just see him, and then I've just seen him turn left. And then I've just seen him fucking quick as lightly snap right, and he's just grabbed something and just fucking pulled it out into the ground. I'm like, oh, fuck, that's a person. That's the crook. And it's just like, sweet. And he's just got this cunt, again, perfect placement right in the back of the tricep. And he's just pulled this cunt. He's going hell for leather. And Fairy's heard us, and he's fucking come through like a trooper through the fucking bushland. And this time I was a bit more prepared. I just break barge straight away. I was just like, boom, straight off, nice clean out. 2 coppers left and right of me. It's fucking chance of, redirection or whatever else. Just, not that I think Boogie would, but, you got to play it safe as well in those kind of close quarters. And you also don't want re-engagement because that looks really bad for your body worn camera, especially if you get a fucking complaint from ALS or one of those douchebags. So you just want that nice clean out, nice clean placement, and you just kind of bring it back. And yeah, he did extremely well.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Yeah, and I've got to. Obviously, you've done an excellent job handling. You're very experienced by this stage. You've got a lot of situational awareness, officers around you, that type of stuff, doing the out faster. But it's also a testament, and I know I shit on Brad before, it's a testament to some of the ways that those dogs get into the agencies, right? There's guys like Brad who do fucking months and months and hours, hundreds of hours of all sorts of scenarios, training for those sorts of things, particularly the tracking. I've done that myself. It takes fucking a long time.
Yeah.
That must be satisfying, right, for you as a handler, and then being able to maybe pass something like that back on to Brad, for example, or go back to Gertzie at the station and be like, hey, this happened, I've got a great bite, great outcome. Does that after you've got a great success like that, do you go and debrief with the other people who've taken part in this whole process?
Yeah. Like my first bite and my first dog arrest, I sent to both of them. I sent Gertzie and Brad, because Gertzie was also very fundamental in the training development of Boogs. So it was as much as, like they're all kind of part of the team. And I just remember sending it to him and just getting like a fucking voice note back, or like Gertzie sending me a meme or something, like, just super proud just to be part of the team as well. Like, and they're awesome guys, fucking awesome guys.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that's so good, man. That's so stoked. So, that must be massive for your confidence too, right? Does that then embolden you, for lack of a better term, to then go on and, feel more confident in your canine handling abilities, to go and put yourself in different positions, to go and make more arrests?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once, like I said before, like once you kind of knock the first domino over, once you get your first like proper, like that dog arrest that I first got, like 100%, like I was that problem. And then once you kind of realize like the training's actually like, you always trust the training, but when you're not seeing results for a little bit, you lose hope. You lose hope, and you're just like, fuck, am I just a shit cunt? Am I doing something wrong with the dog? Like, am I not doing his upkeep training properly? Like, what the fuck is happening? Why am I catching crooks? So when you kind of first get that domino, when the more dominoes you get after that fact, it definitely helps your confidence, and you're definitely like, well, especially if you get a really good pinch, like a really fucking good pinch where you're like, that dickhead would not have been found if it wasn't for my dog. And you're just like, yeah, that gives you some real confidence. Or, even if it's maybe you don't get the crook, but you have a really good result of like, fuck, the crook was seen on CCTV footage leaving in a car from the spot that you lost afterwards. Maybe you just track to a certain point and you're just like, what the fuck's just happened? This dog has been a weapon this entire time. We've just got to this point in particular, and all of a sudden there's nothing left. So, in your mind, you treat that as a failure, right? Because you don't have a direct result then. But maybe you hear later on, it's like, nah, mate, like his fucking mate was waiting around the back. These dickheads got in the car and fucked off. And yeah, like it definitely happens like that. You definitely get results where for one reason or another, you don't get the result, you don't get the final thing. It's still a boost to your confidence though, because your dog's done the right thing and you've done the right thing as a handler. It's just for some other reason, for some other circumstance, you haven't got the pinch.
Yeah. And does that, like, maybe twofold question, do you have to sell the capability? Do you have to sort of convince people sometimes that, hey, the dog is actually a really good option? This is something you should consider. And then the inverse, I guess, do you have to, if things go wrong, maybe you don't find the crook, and maybe there's a justified reason, takes off in a vehicle, not much you can do about that. Do you cop flack from non-dog people about that? Or are they they understand the nature of dog operations, right? They're a great asset, but sometimes, every asset has its own limitations, for example.
Yeah, like it certainly depends on the individual in front of you at the time. I've heard, and had coppers say to me like, "Nah, don't fucking worry about it, mate. You're not gonna fucking like get anything, blah 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 blah." Typical fucking old Portuguese fishermen down the jetty. They're like, "Nah, there's no fish here, mate. You're not gonna catch anything." Type fucking mentality, right? And it's
Very
just
obscure
like,
reference.
yeah, very well. Yeah, that was basically my childhood, mate. Like, nah, you're not gonna catch anything, young fella. Piss off.
Yeah.
And it was basically that of just being like, yeah, you definitely get that, but you'd also have to be like, hey, go fuck yourself, mate. Like, I trust myself. I trust my dog. We've caught crooks, and we've caught crooks in a variety of different circumstances. So take your opinion, shove it up your ass. I'm going to run my dog anyway, and if I get something, I get something. If I don't, I don't. But if I get something, I'm going to fucking hold it over you.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. And so after that second bite, how long were you running boogie for before you left the canine section?
God, great question, mate. I don't even know when that second bite happened. Maybe like another year and a bit. Year, 18 months, because that took me up to like my 11 years in the job. So, yeah, it was maybe a year and a bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And how come you left? Because did you leave canine and Waypole at the same time, or did you?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah. How come you left?
Yeah. Mate, honestly, the biggest reason is just family. Two young kids, got a little boy, got a little girl, and it's one of those things of, I fucking love being a dog handler. Like if I could be a dog handler, I fucking would. I love being a dog handler. I love being a copper for that, right? Like, to a certain extent, being a dog handler is one of the like true forms of, because you're just catching crooks, right? It's like the truest expression of catching crooks that you can get, which is effectively what you're employed to do when you're a police officer. Your job is to go catch crooks. Like that's what your job is, bad people. And when you're a canine handler, it's like the truest expression of that. So I fucking love doing that. But honestly, I just left with my family, man. I wasn't seeing my son. Wasn't seeing my daughter. Like they're doing like, kid sports and swimming, and you work until 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and you're fucking waking up, having to get up an hour and a bit later, be part of the family, and you're tired and you're grouching. You don't want to be, and you want to be part of it. You want to have energy. You want to be full of life, and you want to be there for the people who really actually give a shit about you. It's, the boys on, like, I love all the boys on shift and stuff like that. But if you're not there, if you're not on shift, like it is what it is. But if you're not home, if you're not reading a bedtime story, if you're not helping your son or your daughter do homework, if you're not there for those people, they remember that. And I suppose to a certain extent, maybe even retouching on some of kind of my early family stuff, not having a dad per se, it was very important to me that I be a very present dad for my kids. because there's no way in hell that I'm going to make them feel like, oh, oh, dad's just off at work or whatever like that, which is definitely feelings I had when I was a little kid. Although I did have an amazing uncle that did lots for me, it definitely isn't the same. So being there for my kids and being present for my children and taking time off and the way the job is kind of going, unfortunately, it's just becoming more and more or less and less family friendly, I should say. When I was working at Canine section, mate, my little son running over the house snapped his collarbone in half, and I took him to hospital. It was just before kind of Christmas and New Year's, and I said to my boss, I need to take some time off for work and look after my son. He was like, oh yeah, well, what the fuck's your missus do? So, well, my missus works as well, champ. Like, I'm also that fucking boy's father, and I've got as much of a responsibility to look after my son as she does, and family's a big part of who I am, very core principle. So when you hear that repetitively, like, hey mate, sacrifice your family's relationship with you and your presence and your ability to be part of the family for this job, becomes a very easy equation of like, what matters more to me, my family or this fucking job? I love being a cop. I fucking love being a police officer. I fucking loved being a dog handler. It was me through and through, and as much as the calling as anyone can really have in life. But yeah, if I'm put between a rock and a hard place, I know which option I'm choosing.
That's another interesting one, bro, because you touched on a lot of things there, right? You still love the job, you want to do it, but the good part of the job is not worth the sacrifice outside. And mate, that's another one of those big boy moments, you know what I mean? You've got to ask yourself that question, what do I really want? I love being a canine handler, but I'd much prefer to be a dad. Because like you said, they can replace you on shift. No replacement daddy, especially because you're in their life. Yeah, that's good, man. That's, fuck, man, I'm grateful I never had to make that decision. I never had kids when I was in the military, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. And like, I think, again, having, like I've mentioned a few times, again, sorry, like I've had people walk in front of me to make it easier to kind of see which maybe is the right path to walk behind them. And when you see people in the job that are 20, 30 years in the job, they're busted ass, still working GDs, they've got no fucking family life, they're on their second, third divorce, their kids don't fucking talk to them. Like when you've got, and that's not every copper, but when you see those things and you see them for a decade plus, you don't want to be that. I love my kids, I love my missus, I love all those things, and I want to be there for them as much as they're there for me and have been there for me. I wouldn't have been able to do half the shit I've done in my life if it wasn't for my missus supporting me, if it wasn't for my family supporting me. So, got to do it.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I think wise choice, man. I'm always trying to tell people, I'm like, leave on a high. Leave feeling like you've got just a tiny bit left in the tank. Because, if you leave depleted, you've just given the last of yourself to something that you no longer do, that you don't get a return from anymore. Have a little bit more left so you can give it to the next thing, if like you've done with your family. Dude, has the job ever affected you like emotionally at any time? Have you ever had any times where you've gone and done professional work to process things at work, or you've been pretty on top of it just naturally?
No, look, I've gone out, like, and I don't mind sharing this. I've gone out and I've spoken to like psychiatrists and had work 100%. A lot of that was for other reasons as well, not necessarily just job sort of stuff, but I've also had mates that have taken their life in this job, and that's never nice. Like, I can't. In the last like 18 months I was in the job, mate, I think I went to fucking 6 or 7 police funerals, and that was either blokes dying or like chicks dying because they took their own life, or they were just kind of dropping dead and or just having accidents, and it was just shit. You kind of line up, you're in your ones, lining up at the cemetery, and you hear those fucking bagpipes going. It definitely affects you when it's a mate that you've worked with and done shit with. Kind of like the first instance I ever had of that loss was like a mate of mine that I work with at Fremantle Response. His name's Iggy, and he unfortunately took his own life on shift. And yeah, and that was pretty heavy because he was like I'd known him for a long time, like on response, and my missus knew him extremely well. My missus was on the same team as him when he did what he did. And I also remember where I was, mate. I was fucking working at Armadale Station. I just pulled over two fucking Kiwi boys who didn't have a license, and my fucking phone rang, and it was my missus, and it's just like, Iggy's just shot himself. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? What the fuck you talk? Like, slow the fuck down. And I remember I just threw the license back at these fucking Kiwi boys, and I was just like, see you boys, like, have a good one, fucking get home safe. I don't even fucking remember. And then bloke I was with, Simon Short, I was like, Shorty, I need to go back to the fucking cop shop, mate. And I just kind of got there, and I remember just sitting there, and I was just doing paperwork, and I could see, like, when a copper like dies or passes away or takes their life, if it happens in front of you and you already know about it, I could see everyone else in the police station slowly finding out about it. I could see the phones ringing. I could see sergeants, and then I could see the sergeants in the sergeant's office looking at me because they knew that and I'm just like, and I'm just sitting there, and and I don't know what I was doing at that point in time. Maybe I was trying to distract myself. Maybe I was just, I don't know what I was doing, but maybe I was just trying to comprehend it. Loss wasn't a new concept to me. When I was 15 years old, my uncle, he passed away extremely suddenly. So that kind of massive father figure that I'd had in my life for 15 years had just, we had dinner at him and my auntie's house, and then the next morning it was, I was looking at him dead on the couch at the same house, and it was just, loss isn't a new concept, but that same familiar feeling of maybe shock, of kind of coming to terms of what the fuck's just happened, this has happened, and just kind of doing that mentally, and those kind of mental gymnastics, if you will. So I think I got a tap on the shoulder by, and look, I don't know if this was just coincidence or luck, but my sergeant at the time, Stewie Chater, hell of a man, hell of a fucking copper. And he just tapped me on the shoulder, and his mate, one of his best mates, I don't know if this is my story to tell or not, but he shot himself in the armory years and years ago. I think when he worked at Collie Police Station or something, and that was one of his best mates. And I think maybe he could have that experience. He just tapped me on the shoulder, and he just said, "Hey mate, like, look, know what's happened. You've got two choices. You can either stay here and try to distract yourself with work, or you can go home. I'm just going to leave the choice to you." And I ended up just deciding to go home because, again, even though you're humans, even though it's policing, and even though there's a massive emotional element to it, the process and procedures still need to be followed. So, the people who needed to come in, and I just remember waiting at home for Chelsea to come home, and whenever that was, that happened, and yeah, it's pretty shit.
What's Iggy's full name?
Darren Eggleston.
Shit, you got me, bro.
Yeah. But, we always remember him. We always catch up every year to remember him now. And, he was a good bloke, proper old, like, fucking Aussie as well.
Yeah.
I love that cunt. He would always call Chelsea darling. Hey, darling, how are you? Fucking come up. And he was just one of those fucking blokes, you know what I mean? He was just a good cunt.
Shit, man. That's obviously one of those things, right? If that's in that last year of your policing, you've gone, man, do I want to go down the same road? Do I make sure I can be a dad for my family? I think that was a wise choice, bro. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it takes its time, man. Even if you don't see like the physical after effect of potentially what the job does to you, like, the job's still hard, and to get out without some kind of effect on you you've got to be either extremely lucky or what, I don't know. But I know plenty of coppers who have suffered, obviously not done anything, but who have suffered because of what they've seen and what they've done. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, can I ask you a heavy question, man?
Hmm.
There's nothing you can say to Iggy, obviously, now. But what would you say to someone that's out there right now that's a copper in that same situation, that's been through, years of policing, that's done the hard stuff, seen those ugly things, maybe they've made those sacrifices in the family, outside the job, etc. Like what would you want to say to someone that's going through that right now, knowing what you know now?
I want to say a few things. I think first thing I'd want to say is whatever they've done in their career, it hasn't been pointless. Maybe if they're feeling like, yeah, I've made all these sacrifices in my life, and yeah, I've had a good, policing career, or I've done all these things, but like, what's the point of it? Maybe if they're feeling a bit hopeless in that way, I'd say that they probably had an impact on more people than they would ever hope to realize. And that if they want to stay in the job, it's always that old adage of you just got to hold on just a little bit longer. If they want to, if they want to get out of the job, they fucking hate it, get the fuck out of the job. Right? There's so many careers out with coppers. If you want to fucking get out, if it's not for you anymore, get out. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in it. There's no, like, as being a police officer, you feel like a massive loss of identity. Like, I know that because it's after I've left the job, it's been fucking hard. I thought I was going to be a fucking copper till the day I dropped. And there's more than just being a police officer. And I know that's like maybe hard for maybe them to listen to. It's just like, yeah, whatever. But look at, fucking my life I've lived, everything's been orientated around being a copper. It's just like, yeah, well, you're more than that. You're a person. You've helped countless fucking people. You've caught countless fucking bad guys. And even if you haven't, even if you've sat and driven a desk for fucking 20 years and you've still helped your fellow coppers by doing fucking work and doing whatever. So what I would say to them is hold your fucking head up high for whatever it is you've done. You've earned that right. Not even by being a police officer, you've earned that right by being a human being. And you deserve that respect, and you deserve to feel that way about yourself. And no one can take that away from you. No agency, no boss, no fuckhead inspector or cunt with brass on his shoulder. There's no motherfucker out there who can take that away from you. As much as they may want to, as much as they may try to, no cunt's going to take that away from you. You've got that. So be proud of it. Be proud of yourself. And maybe if you are in a really fucking bad spot, speak to someone. Even if it's not a professional. Like there's a bit of a stigma with police officers and speaking to people, and I don't know if it was the same in the military, but it's this perception of as soon as I speak to someone, as soon as I go and kind of be vulnerable or do something that may crack my iron shell, so to speak, I'm going to fall apart. And maybe I'll get taken off the road, and maybe I'll never fucking be a proper copper again. Because what do I do if I speak to a psych? They might fucking speak to my boss. Then all of a sudden my boss is like fucking, whatever. Go speak to someone. Just go fucking speak to someone. Just have a yarn. And if it's not a professional, then go speak to a mate. Go speak to someone who loves you. And be honest. Be fucking honest. Say, I'm doing it hard. This fucking sucks. And I promise you, their reaction isn't going to be what you think it is. If they love you, they'll fucking be like, they probably wouldn't even know that you're going through it rough. And that's the hardest part, is speaking out. The hardest part's stepping through the threshold. Every step after that's easy. It's stepping through the threshold that's hard. Just fucking do it. And it's easier said than done. I know that. I know that personally. It's easier fucking said than done, but just do it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah. It's a good message, man. That's true. And it's
big message. Sorry, mate.
no,
Sorry, it's
no,
not
no.
succinct.
Next time, just try and be a bit more concise.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
No, that was perfect, man. That's true, dude. Because I think there's so much of that, like you said, mate. It's like that hopelessness. You know, what I didn't matter as a cop, or like I said the same thing in the military. I never deployed. I never did this. I didn't do whatever. I didn't get into SF or whatever. And I'm like, man, you've got so much about yourself that's not just involved in that job. You know what I mean? You can go and do amazing things after that job. You've just overinvested
100%.
in one thing. Yeah, shit. No, that's good, Nick. And obviously, like you're speaking from experience, mate. You've been through some stuff. You've gone and taken the steps, and now you're out of the cops, and your family gets to keep you, and you get to go and do the next thing, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, mate. 100%.
Shit, mate.
To the best of my ability. Hope for the best.
Yeah, no, you'll crush whatever it is you do next. And what is that, man? What's the next thing for you, dude?
At the moment, man, last year I've been working for my family's company. So they've transitioned quite a few years ago. Like I said, they were a cleaning company, a startup, and they've kind of transitioned into like looking after facility shopping centres, etc. And part of that security work. So there's a bit of a common vein there for me. I'm still, very much finding my feet in it. There's a lot of overlap, as you can expect, but there's also a lot of unknown. Not as exciting work, as obviously you can imagine. It's, it's not as rewarding. You're not fucking helping out innocent little kids every day or, doing all that sort of stuff. But there's a level of reward that comes from walking in the door every single day to my two little kids, and that's something that can't be taken away.
Mate, I got three questions I want to ask you, and I think it'll tie in a lot to this stuff that we've just covered, but I'm going to ask him anyway. First one is, what's a bit of advice you've got for either a younger version of yourself going into that job for the first time, or just anyone going in that job for the first time?
Listen to everyone. Listen to everyone. If you're going into policing, you're going to work with a lot of different people who know a lot of different shit. If you're discounting anyone for whatever reason, you've got everyone's got their own bias. For whatever reason, you've got your bias towards someone. Maybe they're not as fucking cool as you, or they don't have the same fucking sick haircut, or maybe they're a bit older and you think they're a bit dusty, or fucking whatever. Listen to everyone and ask as many fucking questions as possible. Ask, even when it makes you seem like a dickhead, even when it you feel fucking retarded for asking the question. Ask the fucking question. And then probably a follow-on onto that is try to capture as many of the good moments. And when I say good moments, I don't mean like the car chases and the high fives, the fucking butt slaps and all that sort of stuff. I mean the moments you might have with, it's just you and a bloke, or fucking you and a Sheila in a car, and you've just gone to some fucking stupid thing and maybe it makes you laugh. Capture that moment. Enjoy it. Relish that moment at that point in time. Act like there is nothing before that, and act like there's nothing after that. And just enjoy it to the most you can, because you're never going to get that back. You're never going to get that space and time back. So listen to everyone and enjoy as much of it as you can for the time that you're doing it.
That's good, man. I like that, dude. Yeah. Mate, next one is, what does your service mean to you? What does having served your community, serving in the cops, what does that mean to you?
But to me, mate, it meant the world. It means the world. The fact that I was lucky enough to be a police officer, the fact that I was lucky enough to be selected to fucking be in the canine section, the fact that I was lucky enough to have a dog like Boogie, the fact that I was lucky enough to turn up on shift, help as many people as possible, however that looked. That's what it means to me, like helping people, and I think that's probably something I didn't figure out about myself until I left the police. How much I actually really liked helping people, and they speak of, like you've said, what does your service mean to you? Well, service means to me helping people. And maybe when I first got in, I was like, yeah, fuck, cool, all this sort of fucking cool shit. Now that I'm a bit further down the pipeline, it's a bit like, yeah, that was cool. But you know what was fucking cool? Helping that fucking little girl find her mum. You know what was fucking cool? Helping that chick get away from that fuckhead and protecting her. That's what my service meant to me. Helping people. And I loved it for that.
And who are you outside your service, man?
Just Nick, just dad, just a bloke who loves hanging out with his mates and loves being around his family and his wife and his kids, and just like being part of a community.
That's nice, man. That's good, dude. Oh, shit. Mate, look, bro, we're gonna knock it on the head. I think that's a good point to end it, mate. But dude, that was a great chat, man. Thank you, man. You've honestly, man, you had so many good insights. Like, I've had so many guests recently that, like, all the shit that I do and the work that I do now, all the guests I've had recently, I'm just like, tick, 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 saying all the stuff that I'm thinking, that I'm teaching. Like, it's good to know, man, that not everyone's fucked, right? And that there's some and that there's some good, healthy people out there that can confirm a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to teach, and you've worked it out on your own. And I think that's a testament to you, bro, and to all the sort of the people like you, man. So, Nick, thanks, mate, for being on my show, bro. And thanks for sharing your insights and all of it, man. Appreciate it, dude.
Thanks for having me, man. Honestly, it was amazing. Thank you.
All good. I'll hit the end button, mate. But for the rest of you listening and watching, see you next time. Thanks for listening to that episode. We've got more episodes on the way. In the meantime, check out warriorsandwardens.com for keynote speaking or workshops for operational readiness and longevity in military or first responder teams using emotional well-being and sharing lived experience. I'm your host, Tom Brown. See you next time.